G'day, guys. Welcome. Finally, I get to do a preview of a final on this YouTube channel, My Blue Heaven, after 5 fucking years. Wow. And it is everything I thought it would be. I am just so excited. I can't wait for Friday night. The nerves started to build on Sunday evening. I started to think about it. I started to imagine how the players would be feeling. I started thinking about all sorts of scenarios, the what ifs. The what if the Sydney Swans come to play and they upset us. I was thinking about what it will feel like to be a really close game and the crowd are just right into it. So every scenario has gone through my head with this one. But the fact that we're playing a first elimination final on a Friday night at the MCG, we get to go. We get to experience that at the home of football. 95,000 expected to be there. It's going to be cold, but apparently the shower is becoming less likely in the evening on Friday. The joint is just going to be rocking. The atmosphere is just going to be electric. And if we thought the atmosphere at the Collingwood game where we beat them and the Melbourne game where we beat them recently in the home and away was electric, if we get on a bit of a roll in this game and our good players really step up, this is going to feel pretty fucking good. It's going to be pretty fucking special on Friday night. It's a bloody good team to play to Sydney because there's this sort of unknown about them, but there's not an unknown about them. And that doesn't make sense, but I think you know what I mean. It's like this team that hasn't really got going this year until late in the year, played in the grand final last year, but stunk it up on the big stage, but on their day can be pretty bloody good and are well coached by a really experienced campaigner in John Longmire, who will just love the opportunity to get his team up for this game, being massive underdogs, because we are red hot favourites in this game. They are. It feels like you just don't want to take this team lightly. And I know our boys won't. I know they won't. I just feel like we are such a better team. And I know the records in regards to, we finished fifth. You know, we earned the right to be there. A week out before the finals, we had already secured our place in there. 13 wins, 9 losses and a draw. Sydney 12 wins, 10 losses and a draw. They finished 8th, obviously. It's our home game. Percentages, pretty close, 113 to Sydney 110. But our record against top teams, particularly in our really good patch, stacks up compared to the Sydney Swans. We've beaten Collingwood, Port Adelaide, Melbourne, St Kilda and the Giants. And you know, I know we've lost to Brisbane, lost to Collingwood, Melbourne, St Kilda, Giants at Sydney. It looked like our season was gone. But the Swans have only beaten the Giants and us. That's it. And we were going like a busted ass. And they were too when we played at the SCG, and I'll get to that shortly. But Sydney have lost to Melbourne twice, Port Adelaide, Giants, Collingwood, St Kilda, Brisbane. They've failed against the best. All right, if you look at their record, it's been against, they've had a couple of really good wins against teams like Richmond and they've beaten the Bulldogs and stuff, but it just feels like we've played better football against better quality opposition. That's not underselling Sydney, though, because they can rise for the occasion. Both teams got on a roll. Both teams looked dead and buried. We won 9 in a row. They won 7. We lost our last game against the Giants. They lost their last game against Melbourne before we face this Friday night at the MCG. So much has been said about finals experience. We know we've only got 8 players that have played a final at our football club. Ed Curnow, only Carlton player to play in a final for our football club. He won't play on Friday night, or we think he won't play. The blokes that will play have had final experience. Hewitt will definitely play. Nick Newman will definitely play. McGovern will definitely play. Akers, he'll play. Sard will play. Lewis Young, Zach Williams, the other two boys. Lewis Young won't play. Well, I don't expect him to play. It will be a real shock if Lewis Young does play, and obviously Zach Williams will not play. Sydney, we know they're experienced. And I know they were young in last year's grand final, had a plethora of young players. But you look, 28 players on their list that played finals. Luke Parker's fucking played 22 finals. All right? Him and Sam Reid won't play in the finals. He's been out for the whole year. But them two players played in Sydney's last winning premiership team in 2012. In fact, Luke Parker was the sub in that game. But they've got a lot of players who played on the big stage, in grand finals, but losing grand finals. Rampy, Parker, Lloyd have all played in 3 losing grand finals. 214, 216, 222. Mills, Papley, Heaney have played in 2 losing grand finals. 216 and 222. And don't tell me the amount of players that played in last year's disastrous grand final, there are a lot of them. Has that just got them a little bit, I don't know, in the back of their head? I don't know. The Swans are that bloody experienced and their coach is that good at building. I don't think it will worry them. I really don't. But it's not like, it's not like they play their players like I fear them. I don't fear their players based on this incredible finals record. Yeah? It's not like they've got this incredible finals record. They've played a lot of finals and won good finals at the SCG, but on the big one, the big occasions, maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, last time we met, is this significant? I don't think so. We were playing poorly at that stage, and so was Sydney, actually. They weren't knocking the door down at that stage either. Round 11 at the SCG on a Friday night was the only time we played them this year. And they led at every change and won out. They ended up comfortable winners by 26 points, 77 to 51. It was a pretty ugly game. And then the thing is, we actually had a full quota of midfielders in that night. And the Swans were without Callum Mills. They didn't have the McCartan brothers. Both Tom and Paddy didn't play, and Logan McDonald didn't play either. They went in with Francis and Malikan as their key backs, who did quite well, and Blakey played really well. That's interesting in itself. Does one of either Malikan or Francis play on Friday night? Who knows? Who knows what John Longmire will pull? But Tom McCartan's back. Yeah, and we went in with those. TDK and Pitnet played in tandem. Fucking shithouse. Didn't work. Plus we had Harry and Charlie played. Silvani was dropped. Silvani's not available on Friday night. He's injured. But Pitnet is available to play. We played Harry in the ruck against the Giants and it didn't really work. Does that make us really slow? Because it made us slow that night against the Swans. Awfully slow. Coaching experience. I mean, when you look at our coaching lineup, Voss maybe hasn't coached in finals, but bloody Ash Hansen has as an assistant coach. So Longmire's a very, very experienced coach. And you can't buy experience. But that's not going to worry me. But one thing, I suppose, I won't underestimate is John Longmire's ability to get this team up. And he will not fear this occasion. In fact, I think they will relish this opportunity to be underdogs to Sydney Swans. Style, is it just too simplistic to say that we are just a contest team? You know, we are the kings at contested possession. We are the kings of ground ball gets and points scored from clearances, etc., etc. We've been hearing it all year, particularly in the back half of this year, and an area that the Swans struggle in. And apparently this stacks up in finals. So this is another thing. It stacks up in finals. But they've got to bring that. They've got to bring the fucking heat. Our players speaking about it. Cripps was speaking about it after training on Saturday. You know, the fact that Kennedy and Pitnet were in a scuffle, and then Cripps got on and spoke about our big boys. We want to exert our authority on our physicality and this and that. They've got to now bring that. They've got to back it up and fucking bring it. All right, they've got to bring the heat on the big stage in a final against the team, the Sydney Swans, who are not great at it, but won't fear it. They'll absorb it and they'll keep going. They'll keep pounding away. They really will. And what we do know about Sydney is they have some genuine outside class, particularly by foot. So if we're not on in that one wood that we are good at, which is the stoppage work, and that's where we score from. If we're not in, and if they do something to quell our players in that respect, I'm not saying this game will get ugly, but this will be a very, very difficult game for us to win. All right, because they have some genuine firepower in their front half, and that's where I'll get to now. All right, we have sharpshooters, and if we control this game, I think Charlie can have a day out. I really do, or a night out. But sometimes I feel like it's all duck or no dinner because you look, Charlie's kicked 78 goals for the year. Harry's only kicked 27. I know he does a lot of work, and I know Harry should make Charlie better, but Charlie should make Harry better as well. I just feel like Harry needs to really step up in this game. I just feel like he really needs to step up and have a big game. Does it necessarily have to be a bag full of goals? No, but he needs to hit the scoreboard. He really does. We can't just leave it all to Charlie Curnow. Always, he's been good. Hits the scoreboard regularly, 25 goals. But it's a big drop away, isn't it? 78 goals Curnow, 27 McKay, 25 Owies, 22 Motlop. Silvani won't play. He's kicked 14. Martin only 13. Okay, I know he's only played the 11 games, but he's not a huge goal kicker, sets them up. And then Durden, 11. Durden probably won't play, and we just don't get enough goal kickers from our midfielders. Cottrell's kicked 8, Cherra's kicked 8, Akers kicked 7, TDK's only kicked 7, Doherty 6, Patrick Cripps 6, Cunningham 5, Fisher 4, Walsh only 4, Fogarty 4. Yeah. Feels like we just really need to dominate this game and have a lot more inside 50s to give our group opportunities because they've got, I feel like Sydney will absorb a lot of pressure and that's what they're really good at. And when they counter-attack, they've got probably, I'm not saying a more dangerous forward line, but a collective mix of different types who can chip in and have an impact. So Papley's their leading goals kicker with 37, missed the last game of the year with a hamstring injury. He will be back. Probably Newman will be the matchup, you would think. Big task for Newman to play on Papley. He is an energiser. McDonald's the interesting one. And whether they play all of Logan McDonald, Hayden McLean, Joel Armady will be interesting. Does McLean play if the big guy in the ruck plays? Do they play both? Does McLean pinch it or does Armady pinch it? Not quite sure. But if they do go with McDonald, McLean, Armady, it makes it difficult for us because they can all kick goals. So they've got 37, 30 from McDonald, 30 from Heaney and Hayward, who are hybrids who can mark over their head. Goulden midfielders kicked 20. McLean 20. Armady has only played 13 games. 14 games, kicked 19 goals. Warner midfielder 15. McInerney winger kicked 14. So they're getting a more even spread. I feel weird hearing guys will have to go to Armady. Which leaves Gov on a McDonald, leaves Kemp on a McDonald, a Gov on a McLean, a Kemp on... Yeah. That one worries me a little bit. I feel that back line at times can be, I don't know, got to. I know we're trying to work on this team defence, but are Gov and Kemp great one-on-one defenders? Maybe not. We know Wiedering is. Yeah, I like their mix in their front half, the Swans, I really do. But we could also get a hold of them, okay, if we are able to get the ball forward. What I did was I wanted to have a look at the way I heard a little bit about the Swans really falling away late in games throughout the year. Even when they were on the winning streak, they faded out of games. So I just sort of went through, like I called it quarter breakdowns, a bit of trend of the way these two teams plays. Are we a fast-starting team? Do we drop away? Are Sydney? And we know that they drop away a little bit. So I've broken the quarters down. Obviously, both teams played 92 quarters for the year. And have a listen to this. We won 47 quarters for the year, so did the Sydney Swans. We lost 42 for the year. The Swans lost 41. We drew 3. The Swans drew 4. So nearly identical in terms of quarters won. Now, this probably fucking doesn't mean anything at all, but I just did it anyway. So first terms. We only won 10 but lost 12. So, yeah, we lost more first quarters than we won. Sydney, okay, had a better record than us in first quarters. 13 won, 10 lost. Both teams outstanding in second quarters. I thought ours was excellent. 15 quarters won in second terms, only 8 lost. Sydney, 17 second quarters won, only 6 lost. That is outstanding. Have a look at third quarters. Us, 11-11 and 1 draw. Sydney, only won 9, lost 13 and 1 draw. Big cross for them. Tick for us because we split. And exactly the same for us in last quarters. 11-11 and 1 draw. Listen to this for the Sydney Swans. Only won 8, lost 12 and 3 drawn. So it's clear to me that Sydney start games quite well. Both teams are able to reset at quarter time and build really strongly into their second terms. But looking at those quarter breakdowns, even when we lose, we don't get blown away and we can stick fat throughout third and final terms, whereas the Sydney Swans really do drop away. That's what it looks like. Okay, we only had one game this year where we won all 4 quarters, and that was against the West Coast Eagles in round 7. The Sydney Swans had 4 games where they won all 4 quarters. Gold Coast, Hawthorn, us in round 11 and West Coast Eagles. And we had one game this year where we lost all 4 quarters, and that was against the Sydney Swans. Is that an omen, guys? One game this year we lost all 4 quarters. That was against the Sydney Swans. The Sydney had one game where they lost all 4 quarters. That was against Geelong in round 6, where they were poleaxed by the Cats by 93 points at Cardinia Park. Let's have a look at the teams. This is how, and I know the teams are still 48 hours away before they're picked. And it's just, I'm shaking my head to think whether we will play Mark Pitnet and TDK in the same team, but also have Charlie and also have Harry. I sense that we will. Because I think, obviously, Hickey and McLean will play for the Swans. And we want to get really... I think we want to dominate clearances. I really do. And I think Pitnet gives us a really strong presence and body, although we can't get around the ground. But either can Tom Hickey really either. He's really labouring. Do I like it? Not quite sure. So I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking for us. I'm thinking Motlop comes straight back in and Durden goes out. Cripps comes back in. Doherty comes back in and Pitnet comes in. That's 4 ins. And these players will go out. Hollins, Durden, Marchbank, Cunningham, and Chincotta. That's who I feel are going to go out, guys. I really do. I think Fisher will survive. It's disappointing for Chincotta. He's a real tough nut. And that worries me taking him out of the team. It really does, because if you're not going to have Jordan Boyd down there, but I feel Fisher's ball use and ball winning ability is going to be really important in this game. And I think he's just going to be pushed out, which leaves Paddy Dow in the team on the bench, in my bench. So I'm going to go McGovern, Wiedering, Newman, Fisher, Kemp, Sard, Akers, Chera, Doherty, Martin, McKay, Cottrell, Motlop, Curnow, Owies, Tito K, Walsh, Cripps, or even Cripps in the middle. So maybe Cripps in the middle, Chera. So Tito K, Chera, Walsh, interchange, Pitnet, Hewitt, Fogarty and Dow. Emergencies, yeah, could throw a blanket over. So one of either Cunningham, Chincotta, maybe a Corey Durden or Caleb Marchbank will be the tactical sub. Tell me what you think about those teams, guys. I can't wait to see how we will go in on Thursday night, but that's my early prediction. Paddy Dow survives. I'd love to see him play a final. Think he'll be really important for this. All right, my prediction. I feel like we're going to win. I really do. The expectations is we do go in and win this game, and I think we'll win by 30 plus. I'm going to go for 39 points. However, if we get done, we will know, I reckon we'll know our fate pretty early. And what I mean by that, early in the last quarter, we'll know our fate and we'll become a comfortable loss. I feel that's if we lose. If you look at our losses this year, we have not been on the end of a heartbreaking loss this year, and I think that will continue. We could win this. All right, this could go down to the wire and we win it. But I feel like if we lose, we just haven't played well. We just haven't played well. We just haven't come, and the Sydney Swans have just come with an appetite for the contest and just got on top of us. And I feel like this game could get away from us and be, like a 20-odd point loss in the favour of the Swans. But I am predicting us to win by 39. Speak soon.